Today we're going to be making a fun, sweet and salty snack mix. It's kind of a classic recipe. I know my family, like my grandma and aunts and everybody, made it quite a bit when we were kids, but I'm going to put a little twist on it to make it even faster and easier. So I've got 3/4 of a cup of butter melted here, or melting. I'm going to add 1.5 cups of brown sugar. And if you don't use brown sugar very often, you know that it can kind of dry out and clump. It likes to have a little bit of humidity to keep it nice and soft and delicious. So some people have like a terracotta bear or something that goes in the brown sugar to keep it nice and soft. This OXO container, it's an OXO pop container, actually has a ring that just goes right on the lid. I soak it pretty much every time I use it for at least a couple minutes and then put it in there. And then you've got humidity right in your brown sugar. All right, and then to this mixture we're gonna add 1/2 cup of corn syrup, just regular light corn syrup. Okay, now we're going to let this melt. Okay, and here's where the twist comes in. We're going to make it in a paper bag in the microwave. So what you want to do, you need to make sure that there's no staples or anything in your paper bag. You're going to put a 12-ounce box of the hexagonal cereal in there. If you want to just use, if you don't have Crispix, you could use Chex or whatever, and it will turn out the same. So just dump the whole thing in. And then you want a 16-ounce container of dry roasted peanuts. This is where the salty part of the sweet and salty comes in. Go ahead and dump those in the bag as well. So as you can see, we're ready for the caramel mixture once it's done. You do want to use a larger saucepan than seems maybe necessary, and that's because after this is done boiling, we're going to stir in some baking soda and it gets pretty foamy then. So it'll bubble up quite a bit bigger than it is. So you just want to make sure you got plenty of room for that, because obviously boiling hot sugar is not something you want to get everywhere. So we'll just go ahead and let this come to a boil, and it'll boil for 2 minutes. So we'll see you then. All right, as you can see, it's been bubbling away for a little bit here. Looks nice and caramely. It smells really good and buttery and delicious too. So we're gonna go ahead and turn off the heat and add a teaspoon of baking soda. That's going to give it lots of nice air and make it crunchy instead of just one solid brick. It just gets some nice air in there. Now we're going to pour it in our bag. down the top. good shape. Alright, once it feels like it's got a nice good coat, you're going to put it in the microwave for 30 seconds, take it out, shake it again, and we're going to do that a total of 5 times. Alright, that was time number 5. I know it's hard to believe that anything good could come out of this bag, but we've got our wax paper ready here. Give this a dump. Remember, this is super hot. All right. See, that looks good, doesn't it? I'm going to spread it out just a little bit so that it doesn't harden into one big giant chunk here. And then you just want to let this cool completely before you can put it in a container. That way it doesn't get soggy. You want it to be nice and crisp and crunchy. If you like this recipe, you're going to love our caramel corn recipe that's done in a very similar way. I'll put a link to that in the description. If I forget, feel free to ask me in the comments and I'll make sure and do it. My friend Marianne makes something very similar to this too, but uses a variety of things and puts candy in it at Christmas time. So that's always a fun way to dress it up as well. I've got a post for that on my site. All right, we're gonna let this cool, and then I'm gonna put it in little plastic baggies and have it ready for the party.